The MS journey has led me to great lengths to account for the various symptoms I had under one and the same disease in the 1980s. So we needed to gather all the symptoms together and put it under one disease. But at that time, CAT scanners were the most advanced form that we had, and IRM scanners were not available. It was the policy then to keep the patient bouncing between the home doctor and the hospital consultant as long as possible. So a possibly malingering patient was never allowed into the medische Geheime, the medical secrets, before the irrevocable medical decisions were made by the gods in white coats. So you can imagine the form of horrid scenarios I was left to imagine. And imagine I did, from cancerous brain tumours to Creutzveldt-Jakob. Mad cow disease, in the days of Margaret Thatcher, who denied the mountaining evidence, was very, very serious. And it meant gone were the days of tartare, roast beef sandwiches, and steak kidney pies. The first attack came after Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty ballet, a 4-hour marathon which demands a tremendous amount on stage and also in the pit below. At the end of a long series of performances all around Holland. At the final one that season, I walked down to the stage door. The floor began to feel like it was made of rubber. Very interesting, I thought, having been extremely interested in decorticated cat reflexes, and looked forward to my flying back to my grandparents in exile, estranged during family feuds in England. I vomited black bile at Granny's and spent 3 days in bed. Diagnosed with viral labyrinthitis under the free National Health Service, I noticed a metallic taste in my mouth like iron, and this was not bile. I walked from the station to the writer's Idris Shah's house, a good 3 miles, and he shouted at me, "I have an interesting call on the line, friend," and banged the door in my face. That instant, my shocked body image became proprioceptively very clear, and at least he called me friend. So I returned despondently to my hotel. Undeterred by such bluntness in orchestral conductors, I returned the next morning and somehow managed to get in to see him. Past the straw donkey that reminded folks to leave the ego donkey by the door and not ride it around the house, and got to talk with the master. "What's wrong?" he asked. "I can't keep my feet in relation to my head," I complained. Well, there's more than that I would like to include here, but I took my instructions from him and returned to Holland. I vomited again in Holland and coughed blood. A long summer. Everyone was lekker dieseling, as they like to do in Cloggyland. And I had no phone. I found I couldn't even get to the toilet except by crawling weakly, like one of Magnus's decorticated cats. Even my arms didn't work anymore. I got better, but I could see 3 canals instead of 1. I would then find myself scurrying up an alleyway to find a place to piss, which is always risky in Amsterdam, and I cramped myself walking to rehearsal. And so it went on, taking fresh underpants everywhere and eating very little to avoid fecal incontinence, and hoping that there was enough grease left in my fingers to make the string shifts when I had to play solo. I became increasingly forgetful and kept missing the orchestral bus, despite it all being marked in several diaries at home, one for each room I was working in. I would know I had a rehearsal on Wednesday, and that today was Wednesday, and there would be dire consequences if I missed that bus in 30 minutes. But it was like shaving in a broken mental mirror, in the dark. I couldn't work it out into a workable whole. That bus got missed, and without a diagnosis, I was fined heavily. A slow, slippery descent from years of practice since I was 14 years old, with tingly hands, guts like barbed wire, and an internal aurora borealis. Strange. The next attack came 3 years later, in 1985. I had no warning. I woke up with a lame leg and rolling double vision. I had to be taken to hospital by ambulance. A lumbar puncture. This bloody hospital's got a riggy roof, I thought. But the cold sweat kept dripping from my arm. Dat weet we nog niet, they said in Dutch. We don't know what it is. And they stuck a name on me. Viral encephalitis.